When my mother was struggling to find help for me as a young man, there was nobody who understood our problems and I could relate to. So after many failed attempts, I ended up in prison. My mother's sense of failure, shame, and stress were real. The worst part was she went through it alone. She was alone in trying to keep me out of prison. She was alone in navigating the prison system. And she was also alone trying to help me re-enter post my release. The Cafe of Hope was created so you don't have to go this journey alone. I know firsthand by real experiences what you're facing and you're feeling. We are here for you. I wish I could have created the Cafe of Hope for my mother back when she needed it, but I guess it was meant for us to go through this test so we can bring you our testimony. Thank you for allowing us to help support your family. We are back. It's the Cafe of Hope. And we are here, and I just want to give you a shout out to all the folks who are watching. We appreciate you. It's been a great run, and we're going to keep running. We're never going to stop because we can't stop because there's too many people suffering for lack of information, and we're going to bring that information. And we have a wonderful repeat guest. It's good to have you back.
Yes.
For those who don't know, tell them.
I'm Latifah Hughes, also known as Miss Preacher Rapper. I'm a gospel rapper as well.
So where did the gospel rapper part come in?
The gospel rap came in when I lost feeling in my legs. I lost feeling in my legs in 2010. And the lyrics just started coming to me just sitting at home. And I always wrote poetry and just did a lot of writing, but I never rapped. And at the time I would look for a singer. And it was like, you do it. It's your story, your voice, you do it. And I just started rapping the lyrics, and I recorded my first song 2017.
Okay.
Yeah.
There it is. We got an accomplished artist on set.
Yes.
And I know the Cafe of Hope is about helping people transition.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And inside and out. So your brother did some time.
Mm-hmm.
So while he was inside, you're outside. Did you lose feeling in your legs during that time?
The first time, actually, this time that he got out was the second time he was in. The first time he was in is when I lost feeling in my legs.
So now that he's home, how is he doing?
He's up and down, up and down. We lost my mom while he was in, so I think that is taking a toll on him, and that's where the problem is sitting in, that he lost my mom while he was in jail, and it's hard for him to accept it.
So what are you doing to help him in his transition?
Right now, I'm just trying to stay in his head, just keep calling him and uplifting him. My music, the things that I do, I just try to keep telling him. He wrote a book while he was in jail, and I also wrote a book. So I'm trying to keep him motivated on that so we can publish our book at the same time. But it's a process right now.
Okay. You're trying to support your brother through the transition. Mm-hmm. So I need to hear like an intro to who you are and how you break it down. We're gonna spit bars live.
All right.
I'm saying you're gonna write it. We're doing a cipher on the Cafe of Hope. This is the first cipher. We're gonna do another cipher. We're gonna get a whole crew of people that spit. But you're the first cipher.
Here. I'm reckless, I'm prosperous. Godly, can't stop this. Coming through like lightning, like God, I'm striking. Down to my knees. Praying God now, please. You want power? Well, you can't have it. I know that you see it. Money can't buy it. My soul now can't have it. Step to me like a lion, no pressure, Satan, don't try me. God is all in me. Faith is bigger than a mustard seed. The glory in His grace is why you cannot conquer me. Depression in me dead, no longer in my head. The pain is gone, no tears no more. Turn test to a testimony. Power in my tongue. Don't want the money my God provide. I testify the battle has won and now I got the power.
Woo! That's how they do it. You gotta go there. Okay. You are officially in the building.
Yes.
And for the record, you can say you did the first cipher on Cafe of Hope.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? Cipher second a couple people, so I'd have to spit some lines too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You
So I'm
gonna
not
spit
gonna.
some?
You gonna make me? You gonna make me?
Yeah.
Do
You gotta spit. I spit. You got it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. 24 years you've been locked in a box, and then you ask Father God for what you have got. But bit after bit, you did the same issue. I said, I think it's about time that you realize this. You're getting old, living in the penitentiary. You should have listened to me. It was just elementary, but no. You didn't want to listen. Now your bed's 2 feet from the place that you consider. How that sound? a little irrational. Well, let me tell you something. The problem's not nationally wide. It's no joke. The numbers are outrageous every day across this country. These people try to cage us just like before, way back in the days. They used to put us in chains and just call us slaves. Well, now I'm in jail and called a convict. If you apply the old label, I think it still fits. You know what I'm saying? Now we got a cipher. Now we got a cipher. You know what I'm saying? You know, I stopped writing raps in '88. I haven't wrote a rap since 1988. That was like way back. Right. That sounded like KRS-One, my philosophy, just for the record, for the old school heads. But we get to be people,
Yes.
not just helpers.
Yes.
But even though we're people, we are helpers.
Right.
So what can be done? What do you need to ask me? What can I do to help your brother?
What can you do to help my
No,
brother?
not that. I mean, you know him. I don't know him.
Yeah.
I can't just say, hey, give him a bite, give him a hat. You know your brother. Like, what can I do to be helpful in his transition?
Right now, well, I'm trying to get him to come away from Little Rock, Arkansas, because there's nothing there but trouble. So right now, if I can get him to the point in his mind where he can do all things that he want to do, I feel like because he's always been in the streets, that's his only, that's his only go-to. Like, if it's not the streets, then he don't know nothing else. And if I had somebody that could get in front of him and actually show him that it's something different, I think he'll be all right.
How about this? I've spent a lot of time in the street. Spent 14 years in the penitentiary. I've been home for 21 years. So first off, change of location is always good if you've changed your mindset.
Right.
Because they have hoods in every city in America. They have people doing bad in every city in America. So if that's your goal, you can find that. Mm-hmm. So we have to, get him to understand mindset first,
Right.
location second.
Yeah.
It's not like, let's put him someplace else. All you can do is bring the madness with him.
Right.
Wherever he goes, he goes. Mm-hmm. So we can I would love to have a conversation with your brother around what the possibilities are. And again, half the time, what I've come to understand is you don't speak street. You don't know what it's like to be out on the block with a pistol or hustling with the homies and you got to and hold it down. So you're trying to talk to somebody in a language that you don't speak.
Exactly.
So tú sabes, ahora yo quería hablar para su hermano por diferentes cosas, tú no entendiste. Tú hablas español, mi hermano. So you don't know what I'm saying. That's what you sound like to him.
Exactly.
You're speaking Spanish to someone that only speaks English. I speak street, for lack of a better terminology. And I can explain to him in terms that he can understand where he is, his options, and what's possible going forward. So let's do this.
Okay.
We're going to close this. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about how to communicate better with your brother.
Alrighty.
We are officially back, Cafe of Hope, and as always, the objective here is to bring information and knowledge to help you, help your loved ones, and help yourself as well.
Yes.
And I was listening when you said that you lost feeling in your legs,
Yes.
and that your brother's home, and he's not struggling, but he's trying to find his way. So one of the things I want to say is, what is the ideal time of the day to reach somebody who's just come home? First thing in the morning. Before they get up out of their bed and get out the door and into the street or whatever they're going to go to, their job, wherever, first thing in the morning. Find out what time he generally wakes up. Some people 5, 6, 7, they go to the gym or they just get up whenever they get up. Find that time of the day out. You be the first message in his head. Don't catch him at 2 o'clock in the afternoon when he's halfway down the street. You want to catch him when he's up, before he brushes his teeth, or just after. Like, hey, bro, what's up? It's sis. Here's your word of the day. Come at him with consistency and simplicity so he can keep track of it. Don't, today it's a poem, tomorrow it's a saying, the next it's a movie clip. Try to be consistent. However you're going to communicate it to him. If it's just going to be an affirmation, if it's going to be I love you, it's going to be a suggestion. Try to get a consistent thing and say, okay, he gets up at 6:30. I'm going to call him at 6:35. And I'm going to be one of the first people he talks to. And hey, bro, it's your sis. I love you. And I want to give you a word of the day. Boom. And you call him in it. And he'll, just because you do this repeatedly, it'll become second nature.
Yeah.
He ain't never going to tell you, sis, don't call me, I'm tired of you. He might not even want He might not want the call.
Yeah.
He might not even appreciate the call. Irrelevant. It's gonna sink in. And every day you keep dropping that little seed, and you keep planting water and seed and water, it's gonna harvest. There's a book called As a Man Thinketh. And the book describes how thoughts originate. Once you put a seed in somebody's brain, it's going to grow. So if the seed is negative, it's going to grow.
Right.
If the seed is positive, it's going to grow. So if you're not putting seeds in, they can never grow.
Right.
So you have, as we've seen, tremendous amounts of blessing. So you have to take those, put them in forms of bite-sized parcels, and plant them every morning. Every morning. And don't look for a return in the first 30 days or 60 days. Because sometimes you plant stuff in September, it don't come up to April.
Yeah.
But the key thing is you keep planting. And don't get discouraged, like, how come I don't see it yet? How come I don't see it yet? It's going to come in its time. If you plant the seed, it'll grow. So that's just one suggestion. It's not a mandate. Nothing I'll ever say is a mandate. It's a suggestion on a way to get through to somebody who's coming home.
Right. Absolutely. Thank you.
So when did you start rapping? You said when you were home?
I started rapping. I started writing in 2000 and maybe 11 or 12, but I didn't record my first song until 2017.
Okay, now this is lesson we just gave for your brother. You started writing in 2011, but it didn't come out till 2017. That's 6 years. But it came out.
Yeah.
You just proved my theory.
Yeah.
If somebody keeps putting it in, it's
It
going
comes
to, at
out.
some point it comes out.
Yeah.
It took you 6 years to produce.
Yeah.
It might, hopefully it doesn't take him 6 years, but depends on what you're trying to get produced.
Right.
I'm saying I've been home for 21 years. I've had a lot of success. And a lot of my successes are due to my sister. My mom was helpful, a lot of people were helpful, but my favorite sister was like, always, when I came home, she stayed in my head. She's always stayed in my head, she stayed in my head, she stayed in my head. And he said, Dre, why do you call her your favorite sister? It's a psychological trigger for me that I can't disappoint her. So I made her my person. It's telling my other two sisters are not super happy to hear me say that, but it's a self-regulation for me.
Right.
My favorite sister. I can't disappoint my favorite sister. I can't. So she became my go-to.
Right.
Psychologically, that was my go-to. Is my favorite sister. So be the favorite sister. Get him in those little rhythms and habits. And trust me. I mean, my other sisters have been just as helpful.
Yeah.
I mean, my sister Naomi came to me when I was having my worst moment in prison. And I was confused, looking for answers. I called my sister Naomi. So I need to talk to you. And she came up the next day. And I'm in solitary. She sat down with me. I asked for the first time questions about my mom, about my dad, about my I just asked all the questions that I was always scared to ask. And she gave me all the best answers she could. And those answers were the catalyst for me being able to stay the courage to stay the course.
Yeah.
So it wasn't my favorite sister who came in my darkest hour, but my sister Naomi, and it's okay. But the term doesn't diminish them.
Right.
It's just I need that thing that okay, this is my motivation. This is my motivation.
Yeah.
And I've never explained it to my other two sisters, but I guess I should.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, well, whatever, get over it, because I'm being selfish. So talk about selfishness. Your brother's been selfish. How do you deem his selfishness, and how do you deal with that?
Whew. Oh gosh. Well, honestly, my mom had sickle cells growing up, so I've always kind of been the rock of the family. So I never really looked at my brother as being selfish. I kind of always faulted myself for being a crutch for him. And honestly, up until this year, I'm starting to understand that I have to kind of step back a little bit to let him be a man of his own, because since he was 14, he's been in and out of jail. He's never had anything in his name, and he's 40. So I don't look at him being selfish. I just look at him being dependent. And my mom not really teaching him certain things, because a lot of things I had to learn from different people. But I don't know, with him, he did the same thing, but he took all of the bad and utilized all of the bad. So,
I got a saying that we interpret things differently. 6 of us grew up in the same house. We watched the same thing. We have 6 different interpretations of what we saw.
Yeah.
And so for your brother, selfishness is, he's selfish if he's committing crimes and taking himself to jail. If he's in jail and not educating himself, if he's coming home, he's not applying himself, it's selfish. And you're going to cover for him because you're a sister. And my sister used to cover for me because she was my sister. And then she started telling me, boy, you're being selfish. And you're the voice.
Yeah.
He's not going to listen to say somebody he doesn't know or somebody he hasn't met, or he's going to hear you.
Right.
So are you being, since you're the voice, are you equipping yourself with the information that he needs to hear?
Yeah.
And saying, brother, you're being, I love you, but this is a selfish thing. And this is the outcome of your selfishness.
Right.
And this is what it would be like if you did something different. Selfish isn't always like a negative.
Right.
Like you're hurt. It could just be you're just not applying yourself as much as you could. And you need to might put expectations on them.
Right.
So I definitely appreciate you.
Yes.
That was a wonderful rap that you did. You need to
you.
put out the second album.
Yes.
But the Cafe of Hope just wants to say we do ciphers, we spit bars, and we keep it real. So we'll be back. Cafe of Hope, we are here, and it's a pleasure to have you. I still have my wonderful guest, and we're going to talk about the role of religion
Okay.
and how it helps people or sometimes doesn't help people. So you're a preacher, rapper,
Yes.
so that makes you a Christian.
Yes.
So you bring the gospel to the world
Absolutely.
through music and through your personality and your presence.
Absolutely.
So what's something that the church, can do to be more helpful in this space?
I believe that churches should have some type of ministry that actually go into the jails and actually go into the jails. Have a ministry where families can come to the churches about family members that's in jail, because sometimes you have family, and I'll say myself for an experience. When I lost my mom, it was just, like I said, I'm the rock of the family. So when I lost my mom, it was just me and my brother. I didn't have any other support system, but thank God, me living in Georgia, my pastor here, he was kind of, really close. But it's not every church, not too many people have that. So if we have more churches that put those ministries in position and actually utilize them, actually go out and do it, and I feel like that'll be a lot of help. And then actually have ministers to go into the jails and then connect to the families.
Last time you came to visit us, we had a discussion about trauma and what schools need to do. What you just said is perfect.
Yes.
But we have to go back to what we discussed the last time you was here.
Yes.
Is creating it into something that people can actually do tangibly.
Yes.
So prison ministry that includes engaging with prisoners,
Yes.
support systems for families,
Yes.
and information for both.
Yes.
So now when we go to the pastor, I can't just be like, you need to do more. Here's a ministry. It's going to be called Prison Ministry Inside Out.
Yes.
And this is the inside component. We're going to send ministers from the gospel into the prison, and this is what they're going to focus on. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yes.
And we're going to have family members in the congregation, and this is what we're going to focus on.
Yes.
So it's clear.
Yes.
And that way, when you go to the pastor and say, hey, we need you to do this, he says yes or no to a tangible program, not a concept.
Right.
We don't want to give people concepts because they're going to say it's not my responsibility to bring it to fruition.
it.
Whereas I believe the church has an enormous edge because correctional systems generally don't let regular people in, but they definitely let church people in. Church people are always welcome in prison. You know what I'm saying? Always. So what we want to do is engage with those folks. We give a lot of tithes and offerings and support and prayer to the church.
Yes.
But are we asking them specifically with written documents, this is what we need you to do?
Right.
In all the auxiliary meetings and the pastors' meetings and the rest of this stuff, are we going and just hoping that they take up the mantle of our cause?
Right.
Are we giving them concrete steps to take up the mantle for our cause?
Yes. That's it.
Yeah. So we have to get back to what we discussed the last time you were here, taking the passion and turning it into a tangible program.
Yes.
So when we hand it over, it sounds different. Mm-hmm. Then you're like, yo, pastor. He's like, I'm busy.
Right.
Because he can't wrap his arms around it.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, unfortunately, all churches aren't good at prison ministry.
No.
You think they should be because
Yeah.
Jesus was in jail. You would think that all churches should have a prison ministry.
Because I feel like some churches now operate in a lot of fear.
What's that mean?
A lot of believers fear. They fear to go into the they fear to go into the jails. They fear to be around people that have committed crime. You know, they operate in fear. They have a lot of fear of things that if you're a believer, you shouldn't operate in fear. You should walk around in boldness because that's our protection. If you're a believer of God, you shouldn't have fear. You shouldn't be scared to go into the ministry. You shouldn't be scared to go into a high school to have a lot of fights all the time. You shouldn't be scared to go in a neighborhood that have shootouts all the time. You shouldn't be scared. You shouldn't even be scared of COVID-19.
Fear nothing but God himself.
That's it.
It's saying the beginning of knowledge is fear of God. That's in Proverbs. Just saying. I know a couple verses, but we're not going to go that far. But I had something. Ministries in churches stepping up is important. It's super important. But now I'm going to say, as much as I want to go at the pastor what he should do, I want to go at the congregation because it's more us than there is of them.
Right.
We should be informed on who is the Secretary of Public Safety in our state. That's one, because that person controls the person who controls the prison system. Then who is the Director or Commissioner of Corrections in our state? Because that person controls the prisons.
Yeah.
Then who are the wardens in the prisons in our state? Because they control our actual loved ones.
Right.
So we're operating in a system that we don't know any of the players. Man, you're showing up to a concert, you don't know who's in the building.
Right.
So we need to start becoming informed. That's what we want to do at Cafe of Hope, not just tell you, hey, go do this. You need to know who the players are. Some of these positions are elected, some of them are appointed, and we can lobby for different appointments. But we're not even asking to be in the secretary's office. We're not asking to be wardens. We're just saying, hey, we're going to let the system that we don't trust and don't believe in govern us.
Right.
And want them to treat us better. And what we need to do is become informed of the different key positions from secretary to commissioner to warden all the way down and say, okay, this is the structure of prison. 95% of people probably don't understand the structure of the criminal justice system in their state. How it works, who reports to who or anything, but yet they want a result from a system they don't understand. So we have to get to a place, again, tangible actions and tangible results based on tangible ask. So the information that we want to share is imperative of who, what, when, where, how, and why. So when you pull up on a person, you're asking the right person for the right thing.
Right.
Because sometimes you ask the wrong person for the right thing and not get it, and you think it's their fault. So what we want to do, Cafe of Hope, we're going to do another cipher soon. You'll be back. And we're going to focus on getting information, getting it to you. So please stay with us, and we will see you next week here on a Cafe of Hope. When my mother was struggling to find help for me as a young man, there was nobody who understood our problems and I could relate to. So after many failed attempts, I ended up in prison. My mother's sense of failure, shame, and stress were real. The worst part was she went through it alone. She was alone in trying to keep me out of prison. She was alone in navigating the prison system. And she was also alone trying to help me re-enter post my release. The Cafe of Hope was created so you don't have to go this journey alone. I know firsthand by real experiences what you're facing and you're feeling. We are here for you. I wish I could have created the Cafe of Hope for my mother back when she needed it, but I guess it was meant for us to go through this test so we can bring you our testimony. Thank you for allowing us to help support your family.